First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Looks like you need a vacation. Enter the 5-Hour Energy Where Will the Tide Take You sweepstakes. You could win a $10,000 dream beach vacation. Imagine jet setting off to a tropical paradise, having fun in the sun, or diving at a gorgeous reef. It's up to you. No purchase necessary. Go to 5HETide.com for official rules and to enter. That's 5HETide.com. Enter today. Ends June 30th, 2024.
Dr. Kent Hall on the line right now. Okay, see that? I'm just going to keep moving until...
somebody cuts you off?
Until somebody cuts me off. Dr. Kent Hall is with MVHS. He is the Chief Physician Executive, and the latest numbers continue to decline at MVHS. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning. Yes, they do. So we're still running at 6 within the system. We have 5 on one campus and 1 on the other. So that's those are all very good, very encouraging numbers. We're really happy about that.
How much have we improved when it comes to being able to? And I know we still every once in a while we're still seeing a death from COVID here and there, and which is very, very sad. Yeah. But how much have we improved in when it comes to keeping people alive?
So I haven't actually looked at that data probably in a month or so, but certainly it was surprising during the real bad times, during the late December, January, February, that our death rate was actually pretty reasonable given how sick people were. Now, people were in the intensive care units for extended periods of time, but given what we've learned about how to treat patients that have this disease, we were running a death rate where people in the ICU who are on ventilators and stuff of really only around 8 to 10%, which is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
What has been learned as far as treating?
So some of it has to do with when we actually intervene from an airway status. So when we intubate people and put them on ventilators, that we've learned that really, delaying that as much as possible and using other modalities, whether it's what we call non-invasive respiratory treatments. People know about CPAP because some people use like CPAP machines for sleep apnea and things like that. Well, we have that kind of in spades for people that have respiratory problems, and there's another entity that's similar to it. It's called BiPAP, which actually offers even more support for people who have breathing problems and making sure that they get enough oxygen into their system. We also, we're using different medications, whether it was remdesivir, dexamethasone, convalescent plasma, and things like that. So that, we learned how to best use those particular medications in almost a cocktail form to provide the best benefit to the patients. And there's also things like just how we position patients if they need to go on a ventilator to actually improve the amount of oxygen that gets into their system. We actually alternate putting them on their back and putting them on their stomach while they're intubated. Putting them on their stomach is not something we usually do. It's called proning, and it's actually something that is not an easy thing to do because there's a lot of medical equipment that is attached to patients when they're that sick, and getting them into a position and making sure that we can continue to monitor them is actually takes a lot of resources and attention.
Right.
I'm sorry, Doc. On the medical cocktails, the medicine used, is hydroxychloroquine still one of those? I think you.
That's the exact question I was going to ask. I mean, it was thought to be all political, right? We did not. Physicians were saying hydroxychloroquine didn't work, and it was because President Trump endorsed it. So now it's a year later. What's the story?
Yeah, so the medical the studies that have been done really across the world really have shown when you look at them en masse, they have shown that there is no benefit to using hydroxychloroquine or hydroxychloroquine. There was some concern that there may actually be some detriment to it, and that also was not found to be true. Again, there were some small studies that came out earlier that that when we looked at them, we found that their methodology, the way that they were put together, really wasn't able to answer the question in an unbiased way. But when you look at the totality of the evidence and really look at the best of the studies, what we found was that hydroxychloroquine really does not give any benefit.
Was that previously part of the routine or the?
Was it ever part of your routine?
Yeah, no, we never use it. Early on, we did talk about whether we should. This was when we were still trying to understand what was going on. So I would say back last March, April, we had a lot of conversations with our infectious disease specialists and with our intensivists, about should we be using this. We didn't feel that the evidence was really supportive enough that we should go out on that limb, and it turns out that was probably the right thing to do.
Right.
And then was remdesivir another one that was being pushed by Trump?
It was one that was used.
I don't know whether President Trump talked about it, but that is something that we do use, and I believe it was something actually that President Trump got when he was admitted to Bethesda.
It was part of that. I believe it was a cocktail that they had used, and that was part of it.
Yeah, and that actually has an EUA. The FDA has evaluated it. It is an appropriate medication to use for people that have a certain degree of acuity. So it's not used for people who have mild illness. It's really used for people that have fairly significant illness.
All right. And I have a question here from Stephanie in Utica. If a person is exposed to COVID but has had both shots, what is the procedure?
So if the person has had both shots and it's been 14 days since their second shot, and exposure to COVID really does not require either quarantining or really any change in their behavior. That's what the CDC and the New York State Department of Health are currently putting out as their recommendation.
All right.
What about if they haven't passed 2 weeks on the second shot?
Well, if they haven't passed 2 weeks, then by our current standards, they are not considered to be fully vaccinated, and then they really should be quarantined for the 10 days.
All right, last question, Andrew.
This is from the app. If a person is exposed to COVID and has had both.
You're doing what Bill does to you on the kicker stories.
Are you repeating what he just said?
I took a call too. Somebody's saying
he's in there doing a couple things.
Doc, we appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we'll do this again. I believe I don't know the schedule now, so we'll find out what it is. Probably tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
Okay,
and then the new schedule.
We'll speak with you tomorrow, Doc. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, everybody. Please be safe.
You do the same. Thank you.